I actually want to give you a download of what I feel the most important things are you can do for your health and longevity in the distilled version where you're going to hopefully feel to yourself, oh, I can do that. And I'm actually voice recording this because I'm going to try to pack in a lot of information because I have a half hour to talk and then I'll take some questions. But I want to give you the most bang for your buck, the most for your time possible. So, and what I'll be able to do is email you this talk.
Cool. Oh, thank you.
Oh, cool. Doorbell?
No, I'm sorry. I'll turn my phone off.
Oh, that was your phone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I hope they're saying they're
Phone's
on their
off.
way.
Important
Phone's on.
information coming.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and for the lovely introduction. So, and she was explaining that I got into this somehow, and just in case that stirred some curiosity, natural health is my passion. It's what I live to give to the world, and it would be boring otherwise. And what stirred my passion is just the transformative effect it's had on my own health. That I had a major falling out years ago because of a head injury that led to epilepsy, having seizures. And it was quite debilitating. I mean, they were quite frequent where you can lose consciousness, where it's just like, dish, and it would happen so much that it was causing further brain damage, and I was trying all the different possibilities. Medical, was considering surgery, and just none of it seemed to be helpful. And I already had a natural curiosity with just holistic health, because I'd been working at a couple health retreats, teaching nutrition, and I woke up one night and I felt like an angel was sitting by my side just giving me an instruction that, hey, you need to devise for yourself a precision-tuned health protocol and do it every day and see what happens. So I did. I got very serious about it. And we're talking everything. I mean, the whole lifestyle, my sleep, the right amount of exercise, and the most important, the foundation of our health, of course, is the food we put in our body. Well, of course, what's even behind that is caring for ourselves, realizing this is the only thing, we only get one of these. It's the most precious thing we have, and it can get away from us. There's just a bit of a mass distraction out there. And we also just don't know what's possible. We don't know what's possible. We've always sort of been at this level where we think pretty good, above status quo. We just don't know what's possible. And when we go all the way and we live this protocol that I've devised for myself, people are just blown away. So I devised this lifestyle protocol for myself. And then when I started working for the Ashram Health Retreat in Malibu and applying this protocol, people were blown away by the transformative power. So I don't know if you've heard of the Ashram Health Retreat before. You've probably heard of the term ashram, which is like a spiritual health retreat. But this is actually the name of the retreat, the ashram, and it's in Malibu, and it's quite well known around the world. We've had all kinds of figures go there, from just people like us to Cindy Crawford and Uma Thurman and Oprah Winfrey. It's quite an amazing program. It's a week long. People come for the whole week, and you're hiking 10 to 14 miles every day, doing 2 yoga classes, 2 exercise classes on a low-calorie diet. And I'll tell you, it's the essence of the diet that makes the impossible possible. And the whole idea, the big picture here, the most important element that I have to offer to the world is the diet protocol. And the good news is you have a massive amount of flexibility. These are not absolutes. We're all such a vastly different body type. That can be a tricky thing. Is that in the Western world where we just have such a vast amount of heritage and different genes and nutritive needs, we're just, it's hard to know what's best for us. It really is. Where, okay, the Eskimos, they know the diet protocol. They subsist on whale blubber. Where the Balinese, they subsist on rice and lentils. And here, it's like, oh my God, what's right for my body type? Thank God we have the sixth sense, built-in instinct to know what is best for us. But you have to apply that instinct within the realm of plant foods. Plant foods are what our bodies evolved with over 200,000 years, the development of this human body. And it's hard to navigate. I mean, it's become just fuzzy because we're most of the foods in our diet and lifestyle are just processed. Processed grains, low-grade animal products, too much processed sugar. And I don't want you to feel depressed. I'm not going to say you just have to eat salad all the time. I would be depressed if I just had to eat salad all the time. Excuse me. So, boom, cut to the chase. I want to just give you a few things that I feel are the most important. And, well, I think you probably know what is just hands down the most important food we put in our body. Number one. Above all else, it's built into our instincts.
Air.
Yes.
I was going to say water.
Amen.
Water.
Okay. And as far as foods we eat,
Protein.
that's a good guess.
Mm.
Green food.
Yeah, I was just going to say plant. Green.
Yeah, plant foods. Greens.
Grains.
Yeah. People forget that because we're so drawn up in getting just the right amount of calories. Yes, calories are fuel. Yes, protein is restorative. But what is the life force? It's nutrients. Nutrients are life force because nutrients are just triggering every organ and function to operate at its elite level. Again, yes, calories are fuel. But, again, we need more life force. Those nutrients, again, that are just triggering everything to operate at its best level possible. That's the essence behind the ashram program, that even though they're on fewer calories, these guests can do by far the most exercise they've ever done in their life. How? It kind of blows all our old theories of nutrition out of the water. How did they do that? Because everything is operating at its best level possible because of the diet that we apply to them. And it was the diet that I applied to myself that was so transformative. And I wish I could say that my malady was totally healed. I'll probably have this scar on my brain for the rest of my life. But here's what I can say that I am most grateful for, is my symptoms have become so light that I can feel a seizure coming and I can catch it and control it. And you would never know except I'm silent for about 5 seconds. And that's not all bad when I'm giving a talk.
Right.
Because people think, oh, he's thinking. What is he going to say? So, green food has been the most important thing in my life, and it's the substance that I've seen have the most transformation on other people, because here's what we forget. Again, I was mentioning that we're all caught up in putting the right amount of calories and the right nutrients, but here's the back door to the whole thing. The back door is taking the toxic burden off of the body. Yes, it's putting the restorative in. I mean, it's two parts. Pull the funk out, put the restorative in. It's pulling the funk out that we forget about. Mm-hmm. And number one is green food. It's chlorophyll that makes living things green. Of course, we're not talking about cupcakes and Tic Tacs. We're talking about green grass and green leaves, kale, arugula, chard, spinach, parsley, cilantro, basil, any green food, blue-green algae. And here's what happens. Chlorophyll bonds the toxins in the body and basically just soaks them up to be removed. And it's taking that subtle burden off of all of these sensitive organs. You're taking that burden off of your body, which creates an unlocking of life force. And that is the secret behind being able to do the impossible. Again, at the health retreat, again, you're taking that subtle burden off of your body. You're taking the burden off, putting the restorative in. That's the big picture. That's it right there. Okay? And so, massive amounts of green foods. That's it. That's it. And again, you don't have to eat salads all day, every day, because I don't always want to do olive oil and lemon juice and balsamic vinegar. No. Every day, I eat a massive handful of arugula. That's the green that my body likes. If you don't like arugula, try dandelion. Don't like it? Try kale. Don't like it? Try spinach. It's good to mix it up. It's good to mix it up. But if you don't have a salad, massive handful of greens.
I had spinach for breakfast.
Okay. And here's where this may raise some eyebrows that people are always very enthusiastic to hear. Is that really it's the back door to weight loss as well. And here's why. Yes, it's burning calories, it's exercise, so it ain't all diet. People are always wishful that there's like the silver bullet that's going to help them lose weight. Ridiculous. So, why do people have stubborn fat on their body even they do an exorbitant amount of exercise? Fat is fuel. That's all it is. Fat is fuel, just like carbs. If you have fat in your diet and carbs, they both burn the exact same. And there's a balance you should have, and I want to talk about that next. But why isn't this fuel available to burn? Because it's fats that store toxins. Your fat cells in your body basically just engorge because they're sucking toxins out of your bloodstream. It's your body's self-defense. If they're in your bloodstream, it's just wear and tear on these sensitive organs. In order to protect these sensitive organs, your body sucks it up in fat cells. It's your body's self-defense. It's your body's way of protecting itself. It's something that our body adapted to over 200,000 years. I mean, our bodies were soaking up toxins way back when there were just volcanoes and other unhealthy conditions. You know, we were always cooking over fires, so we're just inhaling, burning things, and I mean, you know, we definitely lived a toxic lifestyle even back then. Nowhere comparable to what we are now. But that's why green foods are so important. Remember, green foods suck up toxins to be removed. You pull that toxic funk out of your fat cells, you suck that stuff out of your fat cells with massive amounts of green foods, green drinks, green foods of any kind. Now your body's like, oh good, fuel. And it can be burned as fuel. And your appetite goes down because you just have this fuel right here. That's the secret behind the ashram. Fewer calories, but that's the secret. That's the secret in their diet. We feed them the most massive amount of green foods. We have a green garden where they have salads, but we also just put lots of greens in the blender and make soups, sauces, pestos, dips, dressings just out of these raw greens. And they do I'm not here to brag about my products, but that's what my formula is all about. It's blue-green algae. Blue-green algae has been in the human diet for tens of thousands of years, except for the last 100 years. And it's helpful. Here's another model of what's happening inside the body. Look at the planet. 2 billion years ago, nothing could grow. It was too toxic from, again, acid rain and volcanoes and meteors and things of that nature. Too toxic. But there was this stubborn substance called blue-green algae that started to grow. It sucked up that toxic stuff and poof, recycled it into oxygen. And it started to build an atmosphere. And so it was a portal. It was a door open for other things to grow. It created the atmosphere. And even today, algae creates 60% of our atmosphere. People forget that. They forget that not only is it the most valuable thing for our planet, I sincerely believe that it is the most important thing we put in our body. And for me, it was a massive amount of greens that made everything operate at its elite level so that your body is taking such good care of itself that, again, I can't promise that every ailment is going to be cured, but I am confident from my own experience that your symptoms will become so much lighter because your body is so much stronger. Everything is operating at its best level possible, and that's what people come to the ashram for. Not everybody's necessarily coming for ailments, but everybody has a little crick somewhere in their body, something that ain't working just right. We all know. And again, I'm confident that when you live the lifestyle protocol of just the right exercise, just the right green foods, just the right rest, that again, those symptoms become more mild. How awesome is that? People just don't know that we have the tools, that we have the lifestyle available to make such a dramatic change. So, anyway.
Can I ask a question? Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
About what percent less calories do you have people using at the ashram and taking?
You know, truthfully, we used to count the calories, and we just don't anymore. I would estimate that it's probably 25% less.
Okay.
So,
I would have that in mind.
it's less, and because people are doing an exorbitant amount of exercise, people can get hungry. But the reason people aren't hungry all week is because our garden foods and the green drinks they have are so nutrient rich. It's nutrients that your bodies are starving for, and that's how you subsist on a lower calorie diet, is by just going with the super nutrient dense foods. Again, it's vitamin K, iron, magnesium, B12. These are the things that our bodies are starving for. That again, remember, these nutrients are triggering everything to operate at its elite level, and then you need less fuel. Your machine that you're wearing is just more efficient. It's operating better. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So?
Yeah.
that's the thing.
So I want to talk about a couple other things, but before I move on, does anybody have a question about anything I just mentioned? No? Okay.
I can testify to the greens.
Yeah? How?
I have
What's been your personal experience?
the thyroid
Mm.
low. My doctor, I'm facing her so she can understand what I'm saying, that he took me off of everything, it seems. Salad. But my thyroid was low, exhausted all the time, and he put me on mostly greens and I lost 7 pounds in less than, about 3 weeks. And I'm just not hungry anymore when I eat that way. Now, yeah, I like little nosh here and there, but I used to have candy bars all the time and all that crap. But no, I lost taste for it. And I feel better, and I lost weight.
Yes, and that I'm glad you mentioned thyroid health, because it is, for pretty much everybody, something that we need to step up a level. People just don't know how much control they have over our thyroid. Our thyroid is a bit of a metabolism regulator. That you interfere with this thing from not the best health lifestyle, and it sets off the whole ripple effect of then eventually metabolism going down and weight going up. And so, absolutely, green foods, taking the toxic burden off of the body. Boom, this works better. Good news, also coconut.
I use it all the time.
Coconut's somewhat of a magic food.
Yeah.
I mean, you can live on coconut and greens alone. I'm serious. I mean, people did
I
it.
believe it.
And
Put it in my
coconut,
smoothie.
coconut's a
Coconut
thyroid
oil.
stimulator.
We
You
can-
need more than the thyroid stimulation from coconut. You know, in order to make the thyroid ever more active, you gotta like take the burden off of it. But coconut is a thyroid stimulator, raw, in its raw form. So raw,
Organic.
cold pressed coconut oil.
You can get it
Tablespoon.
at Costco, by the way. Exactly that.
Oh, good. I mean, you can get it at any
I know
grocery
you
store.
can, but you can get a big thing like that for less money.
But it has to be raw.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Is it raw? I think it's raw. Isn't it raw?
Yes.
You can also just chop open a young Thai coconut that you get at your natural food store. We had one today. It's such an amazing food. It's also a bit of a brain food.
Well, there was that doctor, I don't know if you heard, her husband had Alzheimer's, it got worse and worse, and she, by accident or something, she was reading, I forget what it is, and she, over a period of months, he got real bad, he was almost back to normal. She was taking huge spoonfuls of coconut oil and putting it in his oatmeal and whatever, throughout the day, and it was...
It's interesting that one of the ultimate brain foods is shaped just like a head, even with 2 eyes. But why coconuts are so good for the brain is it's made of saturated fat. What's the brain made of? Saturated fat. That's why when the disaster happened back in the 90s, when everybody thought all fat is bad and we went to a low-fat diet, that not only did everybody get fatter, but everybody got cranky.
Yeah.
Because your brain doesn't have the nutritive support that it needs
Yeah.
from fat. This is the main thing that suffers on a low-fat diet. Plus, you've heard of the term fat-soluble nutrients, right?
Yeah.
I mean, virtually every nutrient is to some degree fat-soluble, and what that means is you actually have to have sufficient fat available in your diet as a catalyst for that nutrient to be absorbed. You can have a massive amount of vitamin K, for example, or B12, but if you don't have fat present, boom, passes right through, malnourished. And again, and why everybody got fatter? Because it's fats that satiate your appetite to protect you from overeating. You can eat a massive amount of carbohydrates to where you're physically like, ugh, but you still keep going. That's why we have just been like such a, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're so gluttonous in our Western diet, is because we went low fat. Here's an example. 100 calories of olive oil is way more satiating to your appetite than, say, 100 calories of crackers or pasta. You can eat a huge plate of pasta where you're physically full, but you want dessert, you want ice cream, you want fats.
My brain has turned off of pasta. Everybody says, let's have pasta. Let's go to an Italian restaurant. I don't even
now
eat
don't
it
despair.
anymore.
I'm not saying you got to cut out
No,
carbs
but
entirely.
I don't want it.
Right.
Pasta specifically.
Right. It's okay to have some pasta in your diet.
Yeah,
though.
but I don't even
It's
like
okay.
it now.
Well, now, because I've been traveling in Thailand and Cambodia a lot lately, and over there they have they open the coconuts and coconut water. Everyone is drinking the coconut water, and then of course you get the coconut stuff too. But coconut water, and then the other thing that is the big drink is they take the cane sugar, the canes, and they just it looks like bamboo. Sugar cane looks like bamboo, but they take that and they have a special press, and they just press it through, and it doesn't taste like sugar when you drink that. But those are the two big things that they drink.
We should talk about sugar.
Please.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking.
And I'm actually sending a newsletter on Tuesday about sugar, and it is such an important thing to understand. That I do my greens business, and yes, service is the win in the sales, but also the other half of what I do is just cut to the chase. Boom, service, and I send out health and nutrition newsletters where I'm not bragging about my stuff at all, where it's important stuff like sugar. And so, first, before I get off fats, I do just want to say, there's a whole lot I would like to talk about fats, but my time is limited. So, more fats in our diet, and it needs to be the elite fat. What happened back in the 90s, why there was a scare that all fats were making us fat, is yes, it was the quality of fat that we discovered, wow, you can make oils for pennies, where before we were like on the more expensive fats like raw nuts and seeds and avocados and olive oil and also butter. I know that may raise your eyebrows, but it isn't all bad. And so we discovered, wow, canola oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, corn oil, pennies. And that those oils are basically, they're produced under heat. And heat breaks down fats in a way that it becomes irritating for the thyroid. And so we need the majority of fats in our diet to be raw nuts and seeds, cold pressed olive oil. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Raw avocados. And that there are also two categories of fats. Oh, and like the whole low-fat snack food thing is such a ridiculous disaster.
Well, they usually add more sugar to compensate for the fat, which is the worst.
Not only is it too many processed grains, but it's those low-quality fats. Even though there's very little, it's in everything. Even at your natural food store, it's aisle after aisle of granolas, chips, crackers, everything that has just a little bit of that fat in there. It's that constant trickle effect. The constant trickle effect that it has the wear and tear just over time. A little bit of wear and tear, and it accumulates over time. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are
You're
you?
more than fashionably late.
I'm Billy.
Frenda.
Great.
Very
Brenda.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Cool.
I'm Jeff. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Jeff. Billy. Cool. So we've been talking about sugar and getting fat right in your diet. And,
Awesome.
We're finishing up our talk about fats, and it's all about having sufficient amounts of fat that when we went low fat back in the 90s that everybody got fatter. The reason being that it's fats that really satiate your appetite. If you're just eating a massive amount of carbs, you just keep going because carbs don't satiate like fats do. Fats essentially protect you from overeating. I made the comparison, for example, that 100 calories of olive oil, way more satiating than, say, 100 calories of bread or pasta. And it's easy for people to forget that it was back in the 90s also, and we were just talking about this as you came in, that it was low-cost fats that we discovered. Wow, oils for pennies, where before it was expensive fats and oils like avocados and raw nuts and seeds and cold-pressed olive oil. These are elite fats. Then we discovered corn oil, safflower oil, soybean oil. Wow, oils for pennies. And these oils are low grade. They've gone rancid and they break down in a way that when you're eating them, they irritate your thyroid that you brought up, and that sets off the ripple effect of metabolism going down and weight going up. We're not talking entirely about weight loss. We're talking about overall health here, but it's also related to your brain health, because the most important thing about fat is for your brain, because your brain is made of saturated fat. So people get tired and grouchy and fuzzy, and things just don't work great up here. And this, what's the core of our health? Everybody thinks this is our core. Exactly. Your brain. Because your brain is telling all of this what to do. Okay, and it's a whole cycle, because remember, we're living this health protocol that I'm talking about that's triggering every organ and function to operate at its elite level. This is all just taking care of this. So when all of this works better, this is healthier. And when this is healthier, it does a better job of telling all of this what to do. Boom, it cycles through the body. And that's what makes this whole journey so interesting, is there's never going to be a point where you're like, well, I'm the healthiest I can be. God, that would be boring. No, that's the thing, is that everything you do in your diet, these pointers that I'm giving you, that when you apply this to your lifestyle, the majority of the time, not all of the time, that would also be depressing if you could never eat, when you go out to dinner with friends and you have to order something off of the vegan menu or something. That would be depressing too. That kind of has wear and tear on just your your psychological health. But what was I talking about? I got off track here.
Well, you were going to sugar.
Okay, sugar was next.
Yeah, and she had talked about the sugar cane.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you were coming in, I was talking about how even at the natural food store, before I get off of fats entirely, that it's aisle after aisle of all these natural low-fat products where it has just a little bit of that canola oil or safflower oil or corn oil, those rancid oils that even in a little bit, just constantly going through your body, boom, triggers your thyroid, boom, wear and tear, boom, wear and tear. It accumulates over time. And so because the change is subtle, people think it's just happening with their age. Mm-hmm. And they don't know just how long this body can last. Yeah.
Before you get to fat,
before I get to sugar.
Sugar, and we're talking about corn. Will you talk about anything about how corn is Monsanto?
Genetically modified.
GMOs.
That's a tricky one. Brian and I were actually talking about that on the way over. I wish I had a perfect answer, because we were contemplating a reality that not everybody could be fed on this planet with certified organic food. It's a bit depressing,
that's
really.
Right, yeah.
And so back when we first started devising genetic modification has essentially been happening for hundreds of years. It's only in the last 60, 70 years that it's become a very chemical thing, where, the general idea with genetic modification is stuff grows faster and it's sturdier, so that out in nature, just bacteria and bugs aren't just eating it up. But now, the whole reasoning behind GMO is just to be able to create stuff for pennies. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's gone away from us.
Monsanto's.
And so, in this day and age, I say absolutely, we are so lucky to live in this country where we can get organic fruits and vegetables when we want it. And again, there ain't no better way to spend your money than on this thing. Mm-hmm. And so, it's a tricky one also, considering the fact that 70% of the foods in our natural food store are GMO.
Yeah.
If it doesn't say certified organic, it's GMO. It just is. It's an unfortunate fact. And trying to discern between which genetically modified foods that have been the way that they are for 100 years versus the newly genetically modified foods that just have no nutritive value and are toxic for the body, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. So boom, I cut to the chase. The majority of the food in my diet is organic. That's how I shop at the store. And again, it doesn't have to be like this super stringent thing. We're talking about the majority of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
What are you purchasing at the store? I say when you go out with friends, again, to heck with it. Eat what you want. Otherwise, again, it has wear and tear on just your
tough in
peace of
restaurants,
mind.
yeah.
So, I mean, I won't eat whatever. I mean, I might have a bite of birthday cake, but I ain't going to eat the whole dang thing. I've kind of lost my taste for sugar because for my health situation, I had to go on a zero sugar diet. I mean, entirely zero sugar, even fruit, for 3 years.
Ooh.
And it had a profound effect. And I've been able to slowly reintegrate fruit of just the right kind and just the right amount. Again, you have to remember that my lifestyle protocol is precision tuned. Because if I get off track, if things ain't just right, then my symptoms start coming back. Again, that scar is always going to be there from a head injury, that I can have seizures. But when I live this precision-tuned life protocol, these symptoms are so mild that they're hardly noticeable. They wouldn't be noticeable to you. So, sugar, that's a big one, and we've gotten way off track. Here's just a fact of human biology. We all have a sweet tooth. You have to have sugar in your diet. You don't have to, as you saw I did. But your health is better if you have sugar in your diet because, boom, instant brain fuel, glucose, where it takes carbs and fats hours to be broken down and converted into fuel for this. And so that's why the body especially likes fruit in the morning, because you've just woken up. Your brain wants instant brain fuel. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So now, here's the key. This is the key. Keep your sweet tooth happy with the elite sugar. What's the elite sugar?
It's fruit.
Yes, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding. What's the elite fruit?
With
Grapefruit
berries.
in the morning.
Berries. Yep. They're the most nutritive.
What about
Generally,
grapefruit?
not always, but color.
Student of Dr. Oz.
Color is reflective of the nutritive content. Not
The
always.
richer the color.
Exactly.
Red
That's why
grapefruit.
blueberries,
Yeah.
incredibly nutritive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Cranberries,
Red grapefruit.
yeah, red grapefruit.
Even
sure.
greens.
Any grapefruit.
The dark, would it be the dark greens too? And that, or no?
Rye. Totally nutritive, amazing grain. Quinoa has some. Brown rice.
Love it.
Yep. Millet, amaranth. White grains like white rice isn't necessarily bad. It's fuel. It's more, what are you having that white rice with? Are you having it with a bunch of steamed vegetables and healthy fats in there? So, sugar. Keep your sweet tooth happy with the elite. And have it in the morning. Have it in the afternoon. That way you're sustaining a happy sweet tooth so that when you're at a friend's house, you can have one treat and not have it turn into a whole landslide of overdoing it because your body isn't starving for sugar, right? So I'm not saying you have to cut out processed sugar entirely. But most of the time, try to stick with the elite processed sugar. And what is the elite processed sugar?
Cane. Natural.
You can get whole cane juice. You can get whole cane juice. In order for me to qualify it as elite, it has to have some kind of nutritive value. So an elite processed sugar, I know we always think of processed sugar as just being cane sugar, white sugar. But
What
I'm
about
just
date?
what?
What about date sugar?
Yeah, and see, you can get sugar, like powder sugar, from other plants other than just cane. Like,
Stevia.
Stevia.
well, stevia is actually not sugar. It's a sugar substitute. Stevia, and we're not talking Splenda or Truvia, stevia is an herb that just has a sweet flavor. Like you can get whole stevia leaf that's just been ground into a powder, and it's green. The reason white stevia has become popular, it's bleached, and it's just more of a neutral sweet, where green stevia has kind of a weird flavor with it. And even the white bleached stevia doesn't always work with everything. And so it has some value, especially for people who need to be on a low sugar diet, but it is a heavily processed food. Those little stevia packets, I mean, it looks like cocaine. It has maltodextrin in there, and it ain't perfect, you know.
Well, isn't there pure stevia? That's what I think I'm having.
Yes.
The one at Trader Joe's.
Well,
Actually
is it green?
No.
Then it's not pure stevia.
Got it.
Yeah.
I do
never
get
seen greenie.
you know, my tea guy in San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
he gets the leaf. I have a bag. It looks just like tea, actually, but it's.
I like to see.
Even though it has a different flavor than sugar, I kind of like it.
I like
And just the
stevia.
right amount.
Yeah.
Too much, and it's like a
No.
little.
It's almost like a licorice taste or something. It's weird.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. It can be nice. I kind of lost a taste for it because I overdid it. When I was on my absolute zero sugar diet, I totally overdid stevia.
So what should we be using
Like,
instead?
what about
So-
molasses and honey? And
Exactly.
That kind of thing?
Exactly. I put maple syrup.
Yes.
Near the top?
I've done,
Maple syrup's just tree sap that's been cooked, and it's very mineral rich. So some others would, and I put that at the very top where it actually does have some nutritive value. Honey, I put it in its own separate category because I wouldn't call it a processed sugar. I would call maple syrup processed sugar because it's been boiled.
Right.
Where honey is just, it's a whole food right out of the hive. And so I revere it as a superfood in small quantities, and we're talking raw honey. It has to be raw, but it actually does have medicinal value. It's stimulating for your immune system. You know, it ain't vitamin C, but it has its value. Now it is a very concentrated sugar, like a tablespoon of honey. That's a fair amount of sugar. So you know, it's good to cap it at something like a tablespoon or a slightly round tablespoon. Okay, you're cool. Now, and then there are some other sort of middle of the road sugars that don't have any nutritive value, like an example being coconut sugar or sucanat, or what's another one? Agave.
I was going to say
No,
because
it
There was
agave-
the whole agave buzz, you know,
Yeah,
10
that
years
was a
ago,
big
where it's
deal.
like somehow a health food. No, it's a
Yeah.
processed sugar.
Did you say coconut sugar doesn't have any nutritive value?
Mild. It's
Okay.
not it's you know, it definitely isn't like maple syrup or honey or berries. So yeah, keep your sweet tooth happy with some regular fruit in your diet. Again, have some berries in the morning, have a piece of fruit in the afternoon. Now, here is a key with keeping your sweet tooth satisfied and not letting it get away from you. Sugar, whether it's honey, maple syrup, fruit, whatever shape or form, combines beautifully with one thing. Protein fat. Examples being yogurt, raw nuts and seeds, almond butter.
Yeah.
That's why instinctively we like fruit and yogurt. That's why we like dried berries and almonds. Does that make sense? Or why you like almond butter on an apple. Those are perfect snacks. And here's why. Remember, it's protein fats. It's those healthy fats that satiate your appetite to protect you from overeating. If you just have fruit by itself, you're hungry 10 minutes later, right? We all know that feeling. Where it's those healthy fats, protein fats, that really satiate. And again, the two combine beautifully. And another reason why it's good to have protein fats with sugar is because sugar, boom, digests like that. Blood sugar goes up, blood sugar goes down. And that when you're digesting it and metabolizing it with protein fat, it sustains you. It's a meal. It's balanced. You're not going to be hungry in 10 minutes, and blood sugar doesn't go up and down. Okay? And so that's why I think the best breakfast food you can have is a smoothie. I think it's absolutely genius because the body always needs liquid in the morning, because when you wake up, you're dehydrated. You haven't had anything to drink in 8 to 10 hours, right? And you're and
I know.
and you're putting into the blender your fruits, that glucose, your instant brain fuel. You're putting some protein fats in there, like yogurt or raw almond butter, and boom, add your greens. Add your greens, and now you're adding that nutritive value, you're adding the detox value, and you have well-rounded a meal for yourself. We're talking like a big, tall glass, like a green smoothie. Okay, that's a meal, right? And that's going to hold you over for a few hours, where if you eat a piece of fruit, you'll be hungry in 10, 15 minutes.
What do you suggest to replace yogurt if you're a vegan?
Coconut meat. One of my favorite drinks in the whole wide world is chopping open a young Thai coconut, dumping the water into the blender, and scooping all the meat out, and then blending the two together, and it's like just this amazing milk.
Wow.
And then if you want to add some other protein fats, raw almond butter goes so beautifully in a smoothie. It's amazing. You can even slice a little avocado in there. I know that may sound a little different, but it goes great in a smoothie.
Whole Foods stores, they have those bins of nuts already chopped, and then you grind them. They're all heated. They don't have raw any. Very seldom.
You're talking about nuts and seeds?
Yeah.
Right. A law has been passed that nuts and seeds now have to be pasteurized. It's like a blast of heat that would kill any potential bacteria or mold or fungus. And the reason we've had to do that is because to keep our cost for these foods at pennies, we have to produce mass volumes where these aren't stored in like containers like this. They're stored in massive, massive quantities, where then purity isn't really, it's just not something we can control. So that's why we have to blast it with heat to kill any potential contaminants. Now, not to brag, but I do have a product called Infinity Almonds, and I actually import them from Spain for that very reason.
Well, you should. You just absolutely should.
So what I do is they're imported Marcona heirloom almonds, and so every almond is a different shape and size. We just don't even know what that's like anymore, because all of our almonds are hybridized, where we've genetically modified them so that everyone looks the exact same and tastes the exact same. So they're not pasteurized, and then they're sprouted. I soak them in spring water, and they soak up to they swell up to like twice the size. And when you soak nuts or seeds, if you have almonds in your diet regularly, you need to soak them overnight. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Okay, because when you soak them in water, they become active. They become alive. When nuts and seeds out in nature drop off a plant, they're preserved. And they have natural preservatives so that insects, bacteria, mold doesn't break them down. And then in the spring, when it rains, it soaks up all that water, boom, releases all those preservatives into the soil around itself, killing everything around it so it has a chance to sprout and grow uncontaminated. So that when you do that at home, it goes through that very same process, and it becomes a much more digestible food. You know how when you eat a handful of just regular almonds, like halfway into the thing, you're like, dang, sawdust, I need a glass of milk or something. And when you sprout them, it becomes like a really digestible, pleasant food. It's quite nice. They're quite nice.
So what about the almonds generally? I mean, there's a million different brands, but in raw almond butter, what kind of almonds is that made of? The same?
Yeah, you're not going to get any raw almond butter that's truly raw anymore.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I'll still eat it. I'll still put it in my smoothie. It's not bad for you. The oils don't go very rancid. They're slightly rancid, meaning that, I know rancid sounds really bad, but rancidity happens when you heat an oil. Yeah. Heat-sensitive oils like the oils in nuts and seeds, or other heat-sensitive oils like olive oil or canola, safflower, corn, soy. So,
the skin comes off very quickly when you soak the almond.
Right.
And
right.
What's with the skin? Should we eat it anyway or not? I just peel it off.
I think it's fine either way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like
That's
sweet
all.
potato. you don't get any substantial nutrition from the skin on a sweet potato, but it's great to eat it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sugar. I feel like we're there. So there are two classes of fruit sugar. You have high glycemic and low glycemic. The difference is just the rate at which it is absorbed into the bloodstream. High glycemic means blood sugar goes, and that can go, where low glycemic is a little more like this, where berries tend to be lower glycemic, where it's tropical fruits that are high glycemic, again, where blood sugar goes up and then goes down. So those would be bananas, mango, papaya, pineapple. Now, they aren't bad, but those high glycemic fruits, have them in your smoothie. That's why people instinctively like a banana in their smoothie or pineapple. Is because when you're metabolizing that high glycemic fruit with protein fats, you're cool. You're cool.
So instead of eating the papaya, I put it in my smoothie.
Well, I mean, okay, eating papaya by itself is perfectly fine. Out of all the tropical fruits, it's one of the lower glycemic. We actually had a green papaya salad last night at a Thai restaurant. Have you all ever heard of green papaya salad?
Yeah.
It's a popular staple in Thailand where it's a papaya, but they grate it up with a cheese grater before it ripens, and it's not sweet at all. It has no sugar, and it just has this totally different flavor, and it's actually medicinal because it's one of the most enzyme-rich foods on the planet. And even ripe papaya still has some enzymatic value. So, but have your papaya and then eat a handful of raw almonds afterwards. Oh, any Thai restaurant. That's a staple. They all know what that is.
Yeah.
Green papaya salad.
Oh, okay.
So, sugar. I just kind of skimmed over the surface. It's my newsletter on Tuesday. That's why I'm kind of buzzing about it and very excited about the whole thing.
So we have to know how to get your newsletter.
Well, yes, and I will email you this lecture that I just recorded. So, because I know I packed in a lot of information in just the 30 minutes that we've been going. So if you want me to email it to you, and then also receive my nutrition newsletters, and again, I don't brag about my products, that's what it's for. So,
Why not?
Yeah, that's what I
Actually-
said. Why not?
you know what? I am actually going to give you all a bottle of my greens.
Oh my God!
I want you to try it. I've been talking about it, and proof is in the pudding. So, here you go. I'll put this right here on your foot.
Thank you.
Did you sell chlorophyll?
So, I believe in the medicinal power of chlorophyll, and it's one of the main ingredients in here.
Oh.
Chlorophyll is basically the most
Good enough.
chlorella-rich
That's not what
food.
I meant blue-green algae. I didn't mean
Yes.
chlorophyll. Do you sell blue-green algae?
So, chlorophyll is a blue-green algae.
Oh, it is?
So, chlorella, spirulina,
Uh-huh.
Klamath algae, they're what I consider to be the most nutritive blue-green algae. So it's a blend of the algae in here. So it's a blend of algae. That's half the formula, and the other half are medicinal nutritive herbs that I consider to be highest impact. The ones that had the most impact on my health. And then after I devised this program over 7 years, I then then they began serving it at the ashram. So, and then I've always fine-tuned it, adding a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. And I know we've all heard of wheatgrass. I originally included wheatgrass in my formula, and I took it out and added more algae in place of that. And here's the difference. Did everybody get one?
Yes, thank you.
Brian's hooked up. He's staying with me.
I have a question.
Where do you
Yeah.
want it?
That's the other one.
Oh.
Down here for this week.
Yeah, I've wondered about
I will give you
wheatgrass.
one of these too. So this describes just what each ingredient in the formula does. You've heard of stinging nettles,
Yes.
horsetail, burdock root,
Yeah.
nopal cactus,
Mhm.
aloe. So here you go. I'll just give you one of these. I have a couple other formulas, vitamin C,
Tell him.
which I really believe in to be the most important nutrient, the single most important nutrient we put in our body. That's why I have that as a separate product, just vitamin C. And it's made purely from plant foods, just berry extracts, camu, acerola berry, amla berry. And just giving you the quick product download here. And I'm happy to take some questions.
You were going to talk about wheatgrass.
Oh, okay. So I know we think of wheatgrass as a green food. I don't really consider it a food. It's only been in our diet for the last 40 years. It was the buzz back in the 70s where greens for pennies, where the body just doesn't digest it well. It was never in the diet before, and instinctively we know this to be the case, where when we have a wheatgrass shot, we're like, oh boy, here it comes. We just don't like it, and it kind of makes you feel a little queasy.
I don't like it at all.
Where again, blue-green algae's been in the human diet all over the world for tens of thousands of years, all over Africa, South America, Australia, Philippines, Hawaii. It's an incredibly nutritive food, and the body's perfectly adapted to it. And again, the reason why I sincerely believe blue-green algae to be the single most important food we put in our body is it's the highest chlorophyll content. Remember, chlorophyll is what makes all living green things green. Green leaves, green grass, kale, arugula, chard spinach, all the other green foods I was talking about. And that even a teaspoon of the green powder in a glass of water turns it so dark green that you can't see light through it when you hold it up to the sky. It's that much chlorophyll. And again, chlorophyll is the most important thing we put in our body because it's taking that subtle burden off of all of our sensitive organs and functions. It's the number one detox substance we put in our body.
So where do we buy your products?
Online.
I thought they were going to be somewhere. never saw
I
it.
do sell them in a sprinkling of natural food stores all across the country, especially juice bars and like natural health.
Does Erewhon have this in their juice bar?
No, but they will. And Whole Foods will too, very soon.
Yeah, 'cause
Not
it's
yet.
duplicating.
There are so many hoops you have to jump through with Whole Foods, it's
I
absolutely
bet,
absurd.
I bet.
So the majority of my sales are through my website.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but the whole grass thing, you know, they just don't digest well.
I tried
Now,
it.
really
the
don't.
bigger jar of the greens
Hmm.
is for 1 month supply.
Yes, it's 34 servings in there, where this is 5 servings. And here's what I want you to do. You can do a smoothie that I was talking about, and I'm sorry, I meant to have a little card that has a smoothie recipe and I forgot it. But I can email you one when I send you this this class.
idea.
I'll include a smoothie recipe. I was talking about smoothie
Good
recipes where you throw a handful. Here's my favorite recipe. I throw a handful of frozen strawberries, boom, into the blender. A heaping tablespoon of almond butter, a heaping tablespoon of whole yogurt, and just water and greens. And that's it.
Sounds good.
It's
Sounds
great.
good.
I
And
need
again,
this.
remember, it's a well-rounded meal because you're getting your morning glucose, instant brain fuel. You're metabolizing that sugar with protein fat from the almond butter and yogurt, and you're adding the detoxing nutritive stuff from the greens. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find that that's going to sustain you. That's a breakfast.
Does David Wolf know this?
He's a genius of a different kind of information.
Well, I have
Yeah.
his NutriBullet, and it's fantastic.
It's what?
His NutriBullet.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, well, there's nothing left over. You put the stuff in there, you turn the thing, and it
Oh, it's like a
grinds
blender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's
Oh,
not
it's,
a
it
blender.
kind of
It's not
turns. I've
There's
seen
nothing
that.
left over. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Huh.
The blenders, you got that stuff at the bottom that you throw out, the carrot
Right.
stuff. Nothing left.
Uh-huh.
You eat, drink it all.
Uh-huh. High power blenders really help.
He won't call it a blender because
Okay.
it's not.
But a blender, if you do want a blender, I love Vitamixes. It's
Yeah,
it's
they're
like an
great.
industrial
Yeah.
power blender where your smoothie won't be chunky. It's
Yeah,
like
I
totally
blend that.
liquefied and smooth, and it makes it
That's
such a
so
nice
good.
drink, such a nice breakfast. And you can tweak
It's a
the percentages of all the ingredients to your liking. Again, every body type is different. The proportions of fat, carbohydrates, and protein for you are a little different from mine, different from hers. We each have our own unique needs. So you have a lot of flexibility with that, by the way. The whole 80-10-10 diet, 80% carbs, 10% fat, 10% protein is such a disaster. The zone diet of 40-30-30, or when somebody comes up with a diet like, the Paleolithic diet, or, no. Every body type is so vastly different, and as far as the whole percentage of fat, carbohydrates, and protein, you have so much flexibility. you really don't need to have it as like a certain percentage of this, a certain percentage of that. No.
Why is the Mediterranean diet so popular? People.
I couldn't tell you. Maybe because
Have
people
great
love olives
results.
and feta. I don't know.
No,
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
no, they're very happy, healthy.
Yes, many people are stoked on the Paleolithic diet. Many people are stoked on.
What is that one?
It's basically just
Paleolithic
massive
mean?
amounts of plant foods and animal protein. No grains, grain free. So I did that diet for a while. Yeah. I was hardcore vegan all my life. I had tons of energy, like major vitality, but I didn't have enough just body mass. I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now. So I didn't have enough muscle mass to hold my frame right, so my posture was so bad. And then when I started doing I started eating a massive amount of animal protein, and I put on a lot of weight. And then also, I mean, you just have to start strengthening all the right muscles to hold your frame right. But then I've been able to figure out how to go vegetarian again. I still have, I love eggs, I love whole dairy, so I have that. But now I just basically eat a massive amount of plant foods. I don't eat many grains really. Rye is my favorite grain.
So are you suggesting then that having a little yogurt twice a week, I won't
Okay,
do
so
myself in?
this may raise some eyebrows, but high quality fats, again, I mentioned earlier, do not make you fat. Fats, sufficient fat in your diet, satiates your appetite to protect you from overeating. And again, fat doesn't just turn to fat. Fat is fuel. That's why people can subsist on a low-carb diet, because fat is fuel.
Toxin in the fat that keeps you from burning your fat.
Well, right. It's the low-grade fats that are rancid from all the cheap oils.
So a little yogurt in my smoothie, I'm okay.
Absolutely. Like if you
I
have
feel
dairy,
better.
if you have dairy in your diet, absolutely the whole dairy. Low-fat dairy thing is such a disaster.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't even call skim milk and low-fat milk milk. They should call it lactose concentrate. You know how everybody's becoming lactose sensitive?
Yeah.
It's because we're drinking lactose concentrate. The most beneficial property of dairy, the quality of fat. You get protein and calcium from everything. The quality of fat. Dairy-like products have been in our diet all over the world for tens of thousands of years. And that dairy does require some degree of moderation because saturated fat can raise your cholesterol. For younger people, not a problem at all. For young kids, the more saturated fat, the better because of their developing brain. Again, the brain is made of saturated fat. And so, moderation with saturated fat is easy because remember, it satiates so much. You only want so much. So, have the whole yogurt and just less of it. You know how when you eat one of those low-fat yogurts with sugar at the bottom, you're like, dang, did I eat anything? I'm starving. No. The whole stuff and less of it. The whole thing and less of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm converted.
I think butter is an amazing food. I know that may raise eyebrows. You're not eating tons of butter, but butter doesn't make you fat. Nope. Remember, it's those low-quality fats that make you fat. Yeah.
I was vegan practically for 1,000 years. And then about a year ago, I first started with fish, a little bit of chicken, and somebody said, chicken, not a lot of protein in it anymore, and you need iron, you need to eat beef, and I was like, ah. And it was just because I don't want to eat animal, period, you know. But the difference, but I still would like to go back to being a vegetarian, like what you were talking about. And I don't know if it's possible for me because the difference of how I was getting to where I couldn't keep weight on. I was having problems, and I was eating pretty well. I wasn't eating like you do, obviously, but. So, do you think it's pretty much possible to go back to, for most people, to go back to being, I don't have to be vegan, but vegetarian?
I think it requires, for people like you who are particularly akin to animal protein, to basically just have a massive amount of eggs and some butter. If you keep your saturated fats like butter within like 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. So 1 tablespoon is a quarter stick of butter. If you have a quarter to a third a stick of butter a day, is that going to affect your cholesterol? No. Now, if you have serious heart disease, fine. Cut all dairy out entirely. Or if you have to have dairy, fine, have skim milk for a while.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about that. It was the
So-
beef. When I had the beef, it made a huge difference. And I was like,
B12. That's
and
what it is.
iron, I think.
What's the best source of B12 on the planet? Nothing even close. Anybody want to take a guess?
Greens?
Spirulina.
Okay.
Spirulina.
But
green
it-
algae.
And what? Yeah. Okay.
But eggs. You want to know how many eggs I eat a day? 6.
7.
6. You're close. Doesn't raise your cholesterol at all.
No, I don't think so either.
I
No,
don't think it does either. My
cholesterol in
cholesterol
eggs
is
does
up.
not affect your cholesterol. It's saturated fat that raises your cholesterol. That's why coconut oil, even though it doesn't have any cholesterol, it can raise the heck out of your cholesterol if you overdo it. Again, it's hard to.
And processed carbs like grains and processed breads and stuff, aren't they instrumental in raising cholesterol too? If you eat too many.
I've never heard that
processed-
before,
Oh,
so I don't know.
okay.
I wish I could. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah. Can't promise I know everything.
Well, why not?
I just want to point something out. I was listening to the CEO of the Aquarium of the Pacific on Monday, and he was talking, someone asked him about GMOs, and he was talking about hybridization in GMOs, and what he said was, what you were mentioning, that hybridization has been going on for hundreds of years. Specifically with GMOs, is what they're doing is they're putting a virus, they're chemically inserting a virus into something. That's what makes it a GMO.
Mm-hmm.
So the hybridization that you were talking about, that's what's been happening hundreds of years. But the actual GMOs is just with the recent time when they're trying, like with the Monsanto, they're injecting a virus in there so that you can use Roundup on the crops, and then the crops won't die. Whatever it is, I don't even know how to say it, it's crazy. But basically so that they can use Roundup on their corn, and the corn is GMO, so it won't die. The weeds will die, but the corn won't die because it has that little virus in it that keeps it alive.
Yeah,
That's
but you
what
eat
makes
it and
a
you
GMO.
die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, exactly, we die,
That's
right,
wrong.
so then, whatever. But that's what he told us, and he was, because he's some sort of PhD, he was explaining the difference between hybridization and GMO because somebody asked him. So I was just
That's
sharing that.
brilliant, thank you. Gives me more fuel.
Are we good? You feel you absorbed something?
Yes.
Oh,
thank
yeah,
Good.
it was great.
I know it's a lot of information to digest,
A lot
and
of information.
just now.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.